Have you ever heard someone on the news say, the market is up, and just kind of nodded along, wondering what on earth they were actually talking about? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. So in the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain on the stock market. We're going to break it all down so you can understand exactly what it is, where you fit in, and honestly, why it matters to pretty much everyone. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in four simple parts. First, we'll get down to the basics. What is the market? Then we'll get into why you should even care. After that, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of how it all works. And finally, the most important part, we'll go over the practical steps for how you can actually get started. All right, first up, let's unpack that big, kind of vague term you hear thrown around all the time. What exactly is the market?
We've all heard it, right? The market had a great day, or the market was down. But what does that really mean? How can this thing be up or down? Well, it all starts with one very simple idea.
Everything, and I mean everything, begins with a stock. A stock is really just a fancy word for a tiny, tiny piece of ownership in a company. So when you buy a share of a stock, you're literally buying a small slice of that business. You become a part owner. So then, the stock market is simply the place where all those little slices of companies get bought and sold. Think of it as a huge organized marketplace like the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ that connects millions of people who want to buy with millions of people who want to sell every single day. Okay, so it's a giant marketplace for slices of companies. Big deal, right? Well, yeah, it actually is a really big deal. Let's connect the dots and see why this matters in the real world. For companies, the stock market is absolutely essential. It's how they raise money or capital to grow. They sell those little slices of ownership to get cash to invent new things, build bigger factories, hire more people, and expand their business. It fuels the economy. And for you, this is where it gets personal. The market gives you a powerful opportunity to grow your own money. By owning stocks, you get to share in the profits and success of these companies. It's one of the most proven ways to build wealth over the long haul.
Just how powerful are we talking? Well, let's look at the numbers. The S&P 500, which is basically a collection of 500 of the biggest companies in the US, has grown by an average of about 10.5% a year for the last century. Now, of course, past results are no guarantee, but that long-term track record, wow, it really shows the potential.
And here's something that might surprise you. There's a good chance you're already an investor and you don't even know it. If you have a 401k or some other retirement plan at work, that money is almost certainly invested in the stock market. Okay, so we know what it is and why it matters, but how does this whole thing actually work? It can seem like this crazy, complex machine, but the engine driving it is surprisingly straightforward. Let's look under the hood. You can really think of it in two stages. First, you have the primary market. That's when a company goes public with an IPO, an initial public offering, and sells brand new shares for the very first time. After that, all the action moves to the secondary market. That's where you and I come in, buying and selling those already existing shares from each other. So what makes prices go up and down on that secondary market? Honestly, it's the oldest rule in the book, supply and demand. If a ton of people want to buy a stock but not many want to sell, the price gets pushed up. And if everyone's trying to sell and no one's buying, the price falls. It's that simple. All this constant movement creates broad trends. We call a period where prices are generally climbing and everyone's feeling optimistic a bull market. And the opposite, when prices are falling for a while and people are pessimistic, that's called a bear market.
But how do we know if we're in a bull or a bear market? I mean, you can't watch thousands of stocks at once, right? That's where a stock index comes in. Think of it like a scoreboard for the game. An index like the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones tracks a group of important stocks to give us a quick snapshot of how the market is doing overall.
Okay, I know this might all sound a little intimidating, but here's the good news. Getting started as an investor today is more accessible and easier than it has ever been in history. For anyone just starting out, it really boils down to a simple three-step path. First, you need to open an account with a broker. That's your gateway to the market. Second, you decide on a basic strategy that fits your goals. And third, and this one is super important, you diversify your investments to spread out the risk. So that first step, choosing a broker, you've got options. You can go with a full-service broker for personalized advice, or a discount or online broker if you'd rather do it yourself. There are even robo-advisors now, which are apps that use algorithms to automatically build and manage your investments for you.
Once your account is open, what do you actually buy? This is a huge fork in the road for beginners. You could try to pick individual stocks, but that's higher risk and means you're betting on just one company. The other path, which is really popular for beginners, is to buy index funds or ETFs. These bundle hundreds of stocks together, so you're instantly diversified and taking on a lot less risk.
And no matter which path you take, you have to remember this one golden rule. Successful investing is not about getting rich quick. It's about patiently building wealth over many years, even decades. It really is a marathon, not a sprint. So, as we wrap this up, the single biggest takeaway is this: patience is your superpower. There's a famous saying that it's not about timing the market, it's about your time in the market. So the question isn't, when's the perfect day to start? The real question is, are you ready to get in the game and play for the long term?
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and click on the bell icon to turn on notifications.